In this video, we want to focus on alignment, in particular the alignment of our lower body. So we're focusing on our legs, the knee and the ankle joint. When we run, obviously the amount of repetitions that we run, we want our knee to be aligned and landing in a strong position every time. You can see that from how the anatomy of the knee is created, it's very much reliant on even force going throughout it. It's an amazingly strong joint if it's treated in the right way. A lot of the injuries we see in the clinic are due to misalignment or muscle imbalances, so certain one side pulling harder than the other. You can see from the flexion and extension and the way that the patella works with the femur bone that everything is reliant on that structure being nice and even. If we start to misalign it, the movement just doesn't occur, or we're putting extra pressures through certain places, in particular that meniscus and the ligaments around it. So we want to try and keep that alignment nice and strong for proper knee and joint function. The same thing happens at the ankle as well. So the ankle is two joints, it works in a lateral way and it also works front and back. So how do we improve the alignment of our legs? For this, we're going to be using a wobble cushion quite a lot. If you don't own a wobble cushion, I would seriously recommend buying one. They're very, very cheap to buy and they're a really, really useful bit of kit. So we'll be using this quite a lot for our progression movements. If you don't have one, you can use some towels. So if you stack some towels up to create an uneven surface, you can stand on your mattress as well, has a very similar effect. But considering that they're so cheap, I really, really would go out and buy one. If you have one, it gives you a good incentive to go through this video as well and do the exercises that we're going to show you. The first one we're going to do, and I will explain how and why this works as we go through them, is as simple as standing on your wobble cushion with one leg. And straight away, as soon as you do this, and as soon as you see me do this, you will understand what we're talking about and why this is so important. It's important for the foot, for the ankle, for the knee, and also for the hip as well. So as soon as I stand up onto that wobble cushion, straight away you see my ankle is moving and my knee is moving. Okay, so by controlling my hips, controlling my glute medius, and if you put your hand on your glutes whilst you do this, you'll feel them working. If you stand on here for a while, you'll also feel that your joints are starting to fatigue. So everything, all the muscles around my knee and my ankle and my hip, they're working quite hard to try and keep my knee in that stable position. So you can see everything is aligned. When I start to move in a minute, you'll also understand what we're talking about here and how to avoid cheap movements and misalignment of our knee. So I want to avoid my knee collapsing in, and I want to avoid it going too far out. I want to keep that nice and central in the way that the anatomy is designed to move. And that is the simple first movement. It looks really easy. When you try that at home, you'll find that actually my body is working quite hard to try and keep my knee in that position. And again, I might fall over, and that's fine. To start with, if you need to use a wall as a bit of guidance, that's absolutely fine, and try and progress into that movement. If it helps, look down over your knee and you should be able to see your foot. Your foot should be pointing straight forward and your knee should be bang over your toes. Shouldn't be dropping in. You want to use your glutes to keep it out. And again, we'll really start to fire our glutes in a minute where we start to do some more advanced exercises. So first one we're going to do is going to be a one-legged squat. So it's very similar to if you've seen the first video for strength and conditioning for runners. So we're going to be going into a lunge position. And again, we're keeping that knee nice and aligned. We're not dropping it in. So keeping the knee aligned, and we're going to lunge up. This time we're going to advance the movement a little bit, and we're going to go up and thrust up into a stride. So we're going to lunge down. We're going to come up nice and strong with our knee and jump up. So again, down, strong with the knee, aligned with the leg, up, and really push up from your toes. You're working the whole leg. By driving up with your left leg, you're also working your hip flexors. So it's a really good movement for your core, your glutes, and both of your legs at the same time. And we're going to do 5 on each. So we're going to drop down, nice and strong, keep your balance, and up. Little pause at the top just to show that you're balanced, and back down, and repeat through 5. Really focus on that balance and a strong stride at the top. Again, when you first do this, you might be a little bit wobbly. That's okay. The more you do it, the more you will progress. 5 on each leg. And again, you'll probably find you're a little bit stronger on one compared to the other. 4 and 5. The next movement we're going to do is progression. And this is quite difficult, so do take your time with this one. You won't get it right first time. Exactly the same movement. We're going to introduce the wobble board this time. So we're going to place our front foot onto the wobble board, and everything is exactly the same, except it's a lot harder because we're on an unstable surface. So again, bang on the middle of the board, and then we want to go into that lunge position. This is very, very difficult. So if you want to start with just a normal lunge, then that's fine. So just a normal reverse lunge, and then bring it up so we're not driving up. If you feel comfortable with that and you feel strong, working your glutes, keeping your knee nice and stable and aligned, you can then do the same. So into the lunge and then drive up. And again, you might fall off balance a little bit there, as I did. Up and back down. And again, repeat 5, either normal lunges or lunge up with the drive as well. I'm not going up onto my tiptoes here, but what I am doing is to keep my balance. I'm moving my balance forward, so effectively I'm pushing my weight more over the ball of my foot. And then again, swap to do 5 on your other leg. And this is going to be a little bit harder for me because I know my left leg or my left glute isn't quite as strong and as activated. So again, if you want to just do the lunge where you're coming up to there, then that's fine. Go through one more. Good. And if I show you that from the front, just so you can see what my knee is doing. So again, it's still wobbling as my glute is really trying to keep it nice and stable. So I'm on the middle of the cushion. I'm dropping down into the lunge. I'm keeping my knee out or in line with my legs, so there's no drop in. And then I'm driving up and staying nice and stable. Okay. Experiment around with that. Try and progress into you're doing one leg on the cushion and driving up. But like I say, that was quite difficult first time, so you might need to progress into that. The next movement we're going to do is very, very similar, but we're going to start to bring in some lateral movements, and we're really experimenting with our leg strength and our knee alignment. For this, we're going to use some tennis balls. So the dogs ran off with one of my tennis balls, so I've got a little cushion or a massage ball. All you need is some targets. They don't have to be tennis balls, just need something on the floor, ideally something that you can move throughout. So we want to try and progress the movements as we go through it. And all we're going to do is, again, we're focusing on one leg, and we're focusing on that glute strength and that alignment of the leg. So throughout this, watch what my right knee is doing. I'm going to try and keep it as solid as I can. No cheap movements where I'm dropping in. Where I start to move across laterally, you might see the knee move a little bit, but I'm really going to focus on keeping that nice and solid. Start with the tennis balls relatively close, and again, experiment within your own strength and ability to start with. Okay, so nice and close to start, and then I'm going to start my right leg, onto my right leg. If you focus on something on the floor, it will help. So again, here you should feel your knee nice and stable, because we're on this floor at the moment. You should be relatively comfortable with that. You can still feel your glutes working, and you can feel your knee is bang over the middle of that foot. So nice and aligned, even pressure throughout your knee. From there, you're just going to place your foot forward, touch the ball in front of you. Again, see my knee working, it's wobbling. You're going to reach back and touch the ball behind you. And this whole time, it's nice and slow and controlled movements. You're then going to go out to the side, and in this case, touch the ball to the left. And then you're going to go behind the leg and touch the ball to your right. Relax off. Trying to keep my knee, when it is bending, it's staying over that front foot the whole time. So I'm not collapsing in. Nice and stable, working that glute. Nice and aligned knee, nice even pressures. Swap your legs, do the same. So reaching back, touching that one behind, touching the one out to the side, and again behind the knee. Really difficult, that one, so try and keep your knee nice and stable and touching that one over there. Trying to keep my balance throughout the whole time. This is going to be the last movement we do on this, so really focusing on that knee stability and the ankle stability, so you can mess around with how far away the ball is. You can add in more points as well, so if you want to add in, so at the moment, sort of, we're looking at a clock, we've got 12, 3, 6, and 9. If you want to add in one over there and over there, then you can, and you can move all the way around. I find the best way is to stick with the 4 and just progress in terms of how far you're reaching. So a little bit further away now, so I'm going to have to bend my knee a little bit more, And there's going to be a lot more. When you're doing this, try and keep your foot nice and straight, so it's pointing straight out in front of you. Touch that one behind. The lateral ones are really difficult. So again, knee nice and solid, keeping it in alignment. I'm going to go out and touch that one. I can chuck that one right out over there. Again, as I bend down, that knee is staying nice and strong. Really difficult on the glute med, that one. And again, just repeat that. So you can see again, off balance, so that's okay as long as you're keeping your balance and you're keeping your knee nice and solid. And again, repeat that on your left leg. If we really want to push ourselves, we can then introduce the wobble cushion, and you can guess what's coming from here. So bring the balls back in, just so you're not pushing yourself too much with the progression in terms of the wobble cushion. And then from here, exactly the same thing. So up, onto the cushion, bang in the middle. The cushion's just slightly off to the center. If we're looking at the clock, it's just off to the center, because obviously I'm using my right leg. Up onto the cushion, get your balance first. So feel nice and stable. Again, that knee is moving around, but if I look down, it's straight over my toes. You can see my hip working, you can see my ankle working. My foot is also working to keep me nice and stable on the cushion. So here we go, get my balance, and then we're going to go out in front. Going to go behind. Again, knee is wobbling, so it is wobbling in, it is wobbling out, but it's trying to stay nice and stable. I'm not trying to cheat and collapse it in. I'm going to go out to the side. Really good for your adductors this as well. So obviously your adductors and your hip abductors, they're working together to keep that knee stable. And then this is the difficult one. So again, just going to recompose, find my balance. And I'm going to go behind and touch that one. Try and get my balance again. There it is. And relax off. Repeating on my left leg. Again, you will find this harder on one leg compared to the other. Most people do have a dominant side. For me, my right is my dominant one. So up onto the cushion, get my balance, and then I'm going to go out. I like to go forward, back, left and right, but you can mix up whichever way you want to. Go back and touch that one. So you can see my left leg is a lot more wobbly. My knee is moving around a lot more. I'm still in control of it, and it's still staying strong, but my glutes working a little bit harder just because it's a little bit less activated. And then again, the difficult one. Touch, and then back to the middle. And then from there I can add in a little lunge down. And again, doing that, I'm keeping my knee over my foot. I'm trying not to collapse in like that. I'm trying to keep it nice and strong. And I'm adding a couple of squats, single leg squats at the end, and again I can repeat that on my right leg. And back up. I can really feel that my glute meds have worked nicely throughout that. It's not a long session, and you wouldn't say it's a particularly sweaty or intense session, but what it is a really, really focused session on that knee alignment. You'll find that every time that you're landing when you're running, rather than your knees collapsing in, your glute meds are going to be nice and strong, going to be nice and activated. They're keeping that knee and that ankle landing in a strong position. If you find that you overpronate or oversupinate and you get ankle problems or feet problems, again, this will help to fix that. It's a really, really important work. If you really struggle with that and you can't do any of those exercises, check out our glute activation video, which I will link to. It will be down in the bottom corner of this video. It really starts to kick your glutes into action and align in your knees. So if you can't do any of these, try that video first and come back to this. This doesn't massively fatigue the muscles. All it does is switches them on, tells them the job they're supposed to do. So you can do this 2-3 times a week if you want to. If you're recovering from an injury, if you're trying to do some rehab, then again, 2 to 3 times a week, but you should be doing a little bit less running. Really, really good for injury-proofing your body, making sure you're nicely aligned. It will help you run faster, but most importantly, it will stop you from getting injured. I hope you really enjoyed those exercises. Please do go and buy a wobble cushion because they are really, really, really good. And I hope you enjoyed that. Look out for more content. Like I say, go and try that glute video if you haven't already.